Welcome to the Explainer. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization just wrapped up a major summit in Tianjin, and it was full of some really bold talk about a new world order. So, what was actually happening behind all the handshakes? Let's get right into it. Okay, let's start here, because this one headline really gets to the heart of the whole thing. You've got this bloc pushing for a totally new kind of world order, and then you have a major democracy, India, caught right in the middle of it all. So here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll start with what actually happened at the summit, then dig into the big vision from China and Russia. After that, we'll zoom in on India's critical balancing act. And finally, look at why any of this matters to the rest of the world. All right, first up, let's just quickly cover the official stuff that came out of the meeting in China. What did they actually agree to do? So on the surface, you see some pretty standard agreements, right? A new declaration, a long-term strategy. But if you look a little closer, by setting up their own security centers and their own development plans, these members are slowly, piece by piece, building an institutional framework that operates completely outside of Western-led forums. It's a quiet move, but it's absolutely a deliberate one. So how does all this fit into the bigger picture? Well, this summit wasn't just about signing documents. It was really a stage for the SCO's two heavyweights, China and Russia, to show off their shared vision for the future. At the very heart of this push is the powerful partnership between Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin. They basically used the summit to signal a coordinated effort, presenting a united front on everything from energy deals to regional infrastructure. It all reinforces this idea of a world with multiple centers of power, not just one. And one of their key economic strategies is this concept some analysts are starting to call the electro-yuan. It's basically China's big push to get its regional partners to use its currency, the renminbi, to settle major deals, especially in the absolutely crucial energy sector. So here's the crucial point. Right now, it's just a proposal. But you have to ask, if they scale this up, could it start to seriously chip away at the US dollar's long-standing dominance in global trade? I mean, that is the multi-trillion-dollar question that traders and governments are watching like a hawk. Now, this push for a new world order, led by its neighbors China and Russia, well, it creates a particularly complicated situation for another major power in the room, India. You see, India finds itself with one foot inside the SCO and the other foot planted firmly in Western-led groups like the Quad, with the US, Japan, and Australia. And that forces it to perform this incredibly difficult diplomatic balancing act, trying to engage with Moscow and Beijing, while at the same time making sure its democratic allies don't get spooked. So how does India navigate this? It looks like it has a four-part playbook. First, it focuses on common ground, things like counterterrorism that everyone can agree on. That opens the door for economic deals. But, and this is key, it's careful to do all this in a way that doesn't alarm its partners in the Quad. The ultimate goal through all of it? Maintain its own strategic autonomy and just avoid being forced to pick a side. But, a strategy like this is a really high-wire act. The way Delhi sees it, for every potential gain from getting involved with the SCO, there's an equally significant risk. Let's just break it down. On one side, the SCO offers India access to huge new markets and energy opportunities in Central Asia. That diplomatic leverage is super valuable. But then you flip it over. Every photo op with Moscow and Beijing creates friction with its Quad partners. And on top of that, it has to compete with China's massive economic power inside the bloc itself. So let's zoom back out. What was the realistic impact of this whole summit on the rest of the world? Was this a geopolitical earthquake, or was it something a little smaller? The general consensus seems to be that this was a ripple, not a tidal wave. Yeah, sure, currency and energy traders definitely took notice, especially with all the talk about RMB settlements. But the summit didn't suddenly create an overnight replacement for the global economic system. A major rerouting of supply chains and capital, that would take years, if it ever even happens. And why is it just a ripple? Well, it's so important to remember this is not some monolithic anti-Western alliance. The SCO is actually filled with deep internal fractures. You've got members with ongoing border disputes, totally different economic systems, and often competing interests right in their own backyard. These cracks put a very real limit on how unified the bloc can actually be. So, here's our takeaway. The SCO is clearly becoming a more important stage, especially for China's narrative of a multipolar world. But its ability to act as a truly cohesive alternative power, well, that is still very much in question.
For now, it's better to think of it as a forum for pragmatic cooperation, not a new NATO.
And that leaves us with a final, pretty provocative thought to chew on. Are we entering a new era of international relations? One where raw national interest and pragmatic cooperation consistently start to trump historic loyalties and traditional alliances? That's the big question this summit leaves hanging in the air.